Hey everyone, if you've heard about AI agents, this is a must-do. Let's learn about how you can use AI agents to control your browser. Now, this is often also called browser automation. So if you're here thinking, oh, I'm here to learn browser automation, just know this project is here for you as well. So this project is completely beginner friendly, and if you can do this on your computer, that would be perfect. You don't need any experience with coding at all to start, and it takes just about 1 hour to set up. Ideally, you will have about 300 megabytes of storage in your computer and Google Chrome ready to go. So I'm very excited to be showing you how you can use just your local computer and install a software called WebUI to create a browser agent. So shall we get started, everyone? And hi to everyone that's already tuning in. Okay, here is the 30-second summary of today's project. It's all about browser automation with AI. Do you spend time on repetitive browser tasks like checking a website, filling applications, copying data between sheets? If you do, a browser agent or an AI agent on your browser is literally here to go into your browser and complete tasks for you. Browser automation is a very valuable skill for developers and testers, but it's also very important for anyone that's wanting to streamline their own online work. So a very popular use case of browser automation today is to actually have your CV and then to get your AI agent to use your CV to apply for different kind of jobs and tailoring the job application as well according to what's in the job ad. But it's just so interesting to look at literally your browser just go through a project or go through a job application and fill it out like it's you. Yeah, absolutely amazing stuff. So we are going to take a peek at browser agent in action. This is your agent figuring out how to enter Google search, which is pretty cool. You're about to see this in a second as well. Oh, and overall in this project, we're gonna get ready to set up your computer by installing Python, pip, UV, and Git. So these are some development tools that you're gonna need in order to set up your project. And then you're going to install and set up a browser automation tool called WebUI. And WebUI is basically a visual kind of console for the core software that actually powers your AI agent, and that software is called Browser Use. We'll then run some automated browser tasks. You're going to see WebUI and Browser Use in action. It's really cool. We're going to use effective prompts and see how good prompts can really make your AI agent do some incredible work. Whereas a not so good prompt is probably going to make your agent run into a few errors. Lastly, we're going to let our agent log into LinkedIn as you, and this is how you can really see how AI agents can do things that usually require your own login and do things as you. It's really incredible. And we're really getting closer and closer into this concept of agentic AI. Now, for complete disclosure, AI agents are software or tools that can really just run wild and do things on their own without instructions, without prompts. In this case, we're creating a browser agent, and this agent will still need prompts from us to do work, but it is still a lot closer to getting into something that can automate and do things on its own without specific step-by-step instructions. All right, well, as we get started, I just wanted to call out a few people in the chat. Gangada says, I'm very excited for this project. We have Ariana saying, I'm just passing to say hi because it's 2 a.m. here. Oh my goodness, and I have to work in a few hours. Ariana, what a blessing it is to have you stop by. Thank you so much. It is an awesome project. Abir says, you're using cursor. That is true. Sarav says, hi there. Hello. Kunal says, hello and nice work. Thank you so much. Let's go, Nat from Dari. Big shout out to Dari. It was so nice to catch up recently. And we also have, will there be an aftermath video for this? Ooh, let me know what you want to see from an aftermath video, and maybe we can get that out to you. If you're wanting a recording, you can definitely find that on YouTube. Search Next Work on YouTube and you'll be able to find it. Hey, it's Arena! Arena says, hi Nat, glad to be back and so on time with AI. Oh, appreciate it. We also have Chirag saying hello. Hi Chirag, it's great to see you. Well, everyone is Oh, we also have one more. Dharani, is it? I remember you were here in our last live too. Thank you so much, and it's good to see you again. Hello, hello, and good morning to you. We have Nikhil saying, I'm already getting awesome ideas for medical projects. Now that is awesome. Well, I am just going to quietly set something up in the background while I let us have a look at the summary of browser automation, and we'll get started in just a second. This is awesome, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in. Nice. Sorry, I'm just going to set up a few things with our live. It seems like we have a few glitches with getting connected with LinkedIn, which is totally okay. It happens all the time. In the meantime, please come and say hi. Oh my goodness, it's so good to see everyone here. And also, please, if you have any questions about browser automation or browser agents, let us know. Let us know in the chat and we can address that straight away too. Awesome work, everyone. Okay, and good day to everyone. If you're wanting to see recaps of previous projects, you can definitely see that in our YouTube channel. Please select the live tab. The live tab will be able to show you the recaps for those ones, or the videos tab actually. I think the videos tab will show you the projects for Lambda with API, EKS with EKS UTL. All of that is in our YouTube channel too. Awesome. Hi, everyone. This is so cool. Yeah, so Siren, this is definitely available on YouTube Live right now. So if you tune in on YouTube Live, you can definitely see it in full screen. Thanks for checking. We also have, oh, hello. Good to see you, Dane. Oh my gosh, good day to you. This is so cool. Chirag asks, are you guys using more Seek now than GPT-03 Mini? Good question. Right now, Seek is still a bit slow for us, so it's still neck and neck. Okay, everyone, thanks so much. It was so fun saying hi to everyone. And now we'll get started with the project, shall we? Of course, with every project, let's start by doing a quick rundown of what we're here to do today. So in this project, we will demonstrate how to use browser uses WebUI to set up our own AI browser agents. Once this is set up, we can use AI to control our own browser. We're doing this project. Why are you doing this project? You know, you can easily add your own reasons as well. We're doing this project to learn about browser automation, maybe. You know, that would be a very valid reason. All right, all done. Okay, so this is what we're here to do today. And I'm just getting a bit of feedback over LinkedIn that you would like to see the link to the project. So let me add that to the chat now too. All right. Okay, great everyone. So let's get into it. All right, so this is now step one, and shout out to this new little feature here where you can collapse a whole step. So here's a little tip. If you finished a step and you just want to be able to collapse it so it looks a bit shorter on the page, you can always collapse it now. But for step one, we're going to be setting up our development environment. This project is going to be using Browser Uses WebUI, and Browser Use is a developer tool that connects AI models with your browser. As a developer tool, Browser Use is going to require a bit of code for you to use. You would usually need to run scripts, for example, or you would need to put it in as a part of your app, an application. And because it requires a bit of coding skills, something called WebUI was introduced. WebUI is also a developer tool, so you need to learn how to download WebUI's code and run it yourself. But the good thing about WebUI is it's a lot easier to run, and it gives you a visual interface for working with browser use. Think of browser use as this brain. Browser use is a brain that can connect you, your browser, with AI, like this together, okay? But in order to use browser use, you would usually have to, type in some code. It might look a little bit complicated. So WebUI is like, hold on. You don't need to type code to use browser use. Why don't you just run this software called WebUI, and now you can control your browser with AI just over this very visual console instead. It is a very, very practical and handy tool that's easy to set up. So we're going to be using Browser Use's WebUI Visual Console today. Now, because it is still a development tool like WebUI itself, you will need to be able to set up your computer to have the tools you need to get WebUI up and running. So there are going to be 4 key development tools you need to have in your computer. If you don't have them yet, that's what this step is all about. It's all about just installing these tools. So stay with me here. We have 4 to install, and they're Python, which is a programming language that powers WebUI and lets it run on your computer. We're going to need to install Python so we can run WebUI, the app. Next are pip and UV. These 2 are called package managers, but you can really think of them as like app stores, but Python app stores. WebUI uses these pre-built pieces of code, okay? And these pre-built pieces of code are code that you need to download separately from the WebUI code itself. So you got your WebUI code, and it says, hey, in order to run me, you also need to download some other pre-built piece of code that's available in the Python app store. So you need to go to pip and UV to be like, hey, I need some pre-built pieces of code in order to run WebUI, and you need to download them from pip and UV. So we're going to need to install Python, make sure we have these app stores in our computer available as well, and finally Git, which you might be familiar with if you've done our GitHub project before. And if you haven't, that's okay. Just know that Git is a tool that helps you with downloading existing code that's living online. So in our case, WebUI's code is already living online in GitHub. So we're going to be using this tool called Git to pull down and download that code. Okay, so let's get into it. In this step, we will install Git, pip, UV, and Python. This is because these 4 are development tools that are required for us to run WebUI. The end goal here is to have all the tools your computer needs in order to run the WebUI code. Okay, so I hope that was clear. Great. So you might be thinking, if you're someone that has already worked with development tools before, you might be thinking, hey, I already have some of these tools. And if you do, that's great. All you got to do is click on whichever operating system matches yours, and then you can run a piece of code to check whether or not you have those the development tools already. So I'm using a MacBook today, which means I'm going to open Terminal on my MacBook. Let's find Terminal. Great, and let me bring out Terminal like this. So I have my terminal, and I'm going to run some commands in my terminal to check if I already have these tools in my computer. So run these commands, and you can just easily click on copy code like this and put that in here to check. Okay, so in my case, as you can see, with brew -- version, you have a matching version number. Python 3 -- version, you have a matching Python number. Pip, UV, Git, I have matching version numbers for those 2. And no, actually, I am not AI. I thought I'd jump in and mention that. Great stuff. Okay, So we can say that, for myself, I have these tools already. But what tools do you have? Do you have some that's missing? If you see words like, something like git command not found, that means you don't have that tool yet, and that's something that you'll need to download. But if you can see a version number, it means you already have it. Take it off here, and just know that in this little checklist below, you only need to follow the ones that you don't have. Okay? If you're wondering what Homebrew is, just know that this is only something that macOS users will need. If you're running, let's say, Windows, okay, you'll notice that Homebrew is not here. If you're using Linux, Homebrew is not here either. It's something that is specifically for Mac users only. Brew is something that really helps us with downloading these tools much, much quicker. Okay, so very nice. Let's move on to this bit where you get to install the tools that you don't have. Again, Homebrew is something that you only need to do if you're running a MacBook or like an Apple computer. But Python, pip, UV, and git are all tools that you'll need regardless of whichever operating system that you're using. So if you've clicked that you have all the tools, you have Homebrew or you have git, but you don't have Python. Okay, if you have this still in your checklist left, please click on the Python tab and follow the correct instructions for your operating system. It's so interesting to see that we have so many people asking if I'm AI today. Is it the way I'm talking? But no, I'm not. But I hope you enjoyed this session. And Igesa, thank you so much for joining. Hello from Uganda. Oh, saying hello back. Okay, so first of all, you need to install Python. And Python, you can install with Homebrew if you're using a Mac. But again, scroll down to the correct operating system. So if you're running a Windows computer, you can download Python from the official website and run the installer instead. Great, as you can see, we also have the Linux instructions for it as well. And that repeats for all of these tools. So we have the one for pip, we have the one for UV, and we also have the one for git. Okay, so all the instructions are right here for you. Cool. And then once you have followed the instructions, you can easily run a final check to see if you have all of the correct tools for your operating system. Again, we have like the tailored version according to whether you're using a Mac, Windows, or Linux. And all you have to do is like copy this to verify that you've installed everything, and then paste it over here to check that you have a version number for all of them. It's going to be very common for you to run into errors as you install development tools, which is why across this guide we have included like some help and some tips for all of the different kinds of errors that you might run into as well. If your terminal still says command not found at the end after you've installed everything, you might just need to restart your terminal or add the tool to your path. And if you're wondering what path is, you can ask here as well. What is my path? Oh, right now it's taking an unexpected coffee break, which is all good. But you can always ask, what is my path? And look for some examples as well. So that's totally possible too. And this applies to all of the concepts in this project. You can just highlight anything and ask for an example. Great. As a pro tip, if you would like to check if you're running the latest version, you can also run the following commands to check. So I'm gonna just run that in my terminal now. Brew update and brew upgrade. So this is for updating Homebrew. And actually for our lovely Mac users, just know that as long as you run this, usually that means that these 3 commands are already taken care of. I can see that my terminal is not really handling the comments very well. So you can still install them like this. For example, you can still run them one by one like this, in order to make sure like all of the development tools you're using for this project is up to date as well. Okay, great. All right. Here we can do a quick recap on the development tools that you installed. Take the time, feel free to pause this video to install your tools one by one. And then here we'll regroup and talk about the development tools that's in your computer now. We installed development tools like Python, pip, and you can add like brackets, Python, the programming language, pip, which is the package manager for Python. We also have UV, which is a faster package manager for Python, and our main package manager that we're using in this project, and Git, which is a tool for, we'll use this to download the WebUI code. Okay. Now, before we move on, I thought I'd quickly address something, which is, why we're needing package managers for Python. As we mentioned just now at the start of this step, package managers are very helpful for installing any kinds of tools or libraries that WebUI needs in order to run. So these tools and packages or libraries, like they're called dependencies. And basically, if you don't download these external pieces of code, then WebUI won't run or won't run correctly. So what you're going to see next is we're about to download WebUI's code, but then before we can even run WebUI's code, we need to go through all of the requirements that it has, which are all of the dependencies that it has, and then download those dependencies one by one using our package manager. And that's where pip and UV is going to come in. So Git's role is we're gonna really use Git to download the code, and then we're gonna use UV and pip to actually install some of the requirements that WebUI needs, or WebUI needs your computer to have in order to run. And then Python is going to be like the big tool that helps us with actually running the WebUI code itself later, once all of this is sorted. Okay, so I hope that was a bit clearer. And let me know if you have any questions. All right, I'm just watching the comment section now, and I can see that we have a question from Dev. Path is nothing but the environment system variable's path. I think if this question about whether or not you need to be setting the environment system variables in your path. So to clarify the thing about path, which is something that we mentioned earlier, which is if your terminal says command not found, you might need to restart your terminal, add the tool to your path, or install it again. So if you're new to the concept of path, a path is basically a list of like directories that your operating system will search when it runs a command. So later on, in order to use a tool like UV, in order to use a tool like pip, in order to use like Python to run WebUI, you're going to need to run some commands in your terminal. And when you run that command, path becomes very, very important, because path is kind of like the location of that tool that you're running. So if your computer can't find pip or Python or UV or Git, then it can't run the command that you're trying to make your computer terminal do. That's why adding the tool to your path becomes so important. Cool beans. Thank you so much for sticking with me as we set up our development environment. I feel like setting up your development environment is one of those things that's like, man, it's so important to do, but then maybe it's not the most like exciting and visual part of the project. So if you're still here, you have made it through the hardest part, in my opinion, because it gets real visual and real like responsive from here. We've installed the development tools, and now we're going to download WebUI's code to start running it. So why are we downloading WebUI's code? As a reminder, WebUI's code lives in a GitHub repository. So you need to download WebUI's source code from where it lives, which is in GitHub, to run the code yourself. Let's dive into it now. So in this step, we will download WebUI's source code. This means that the code to run WebUI will become local in our computer. So that we can create our browser agents. So running WebUI means we have the software for creating our browser AI agents. Cool, I hope that makes it clearer. Okay, so to download WebUI, we need to download its code from GitHub. So the steps to downloading WebUI's code depends on your operating system, but the great way to go about it is to first navigate your terminal into your documents folder. And then you're going to clone the WebUI repository. So this means that you're downloading a copy of some code that exists online right now. And that's the reason why, look, the command uses git here. And this is the reason why we installed git earlier in step 1. Oh, okay. So it says that the destination path WebUI already exists. That makes sense because I don't think I have deleted that yet. Oh, WebUI is a directory. I think I will simply have to. Oh, I think I got the command wrong. I have a brain fart. The command for deleting WebUI is a specific command. There we go. This one. But let me get back into it. So I'm just going to delete something that already lives in my computer, but this is not going to apply to you because the WebUI folder is probably going to be new to your computer. But what we're going to do from scratch now together is let us copy the code for downloading the WebUI repository. So we're downloading all of the code for WebUI. And now that it's downloaded, you can go into the folder, okay? So let's navigate into the folder so that we can actually run the code. It's gonna be really exciting. I think let's open WebUI as fast as we can so we can see in a very visual way how it works. We're gonna check that you're in the right directory. So just check that you've arrived at the right folder in your terminal. So we're gonna run pwd here. Okay, and now we have some confirmation that right now our terminal is in a folder called WebUI inside our documents folder. So quick recap, we have just downloaded WebUI's code into our local computer, and that code that we've downloaded currently lives in a folder called WebUI. You can actually even find this, it. I'm sure, I think I just opened it here. Yeah, here we are. So as you can see in my documents folder, there is another folder called WebUI, and here's all of the content that we just pulled down using Git. So nice work. You just installed some code, and now let's focus on actually running WebUI. Great. So we're going to now set up the Python environment. And just like how you might have different folders to organize your documents, a Python environment helps organize your coding tools and your packages. So we're going to be setting up an environment that is isolated and temporary. When you delete this folder, it deletes all of the packages and tools that you've installed inside of it. This keeps your computer very, very clean and organized. Okay, so quick recap here. Now that we have installed WebUI, we want to run it. And in order to run WebUI, you're going to need to install a lot of those packages and dependencies that we just talked about. And when you install so many packages and dependencies, it's often a problem that your computer might get overwhelmed with all of these different kinds of tools that's inside. That often creates a bit of conflict. When you have two different versions of the same thing, when another software that was using something is now getting directed to the wrong tool because you've just installed like 20 or 30 other things. And imagine you've finished this project and you're ready to delete everything. How do you delete all of the packages that you've just installed in a very, very clean way? The best way is to make sure that all of the tools that you're about to install gets installed into this virtual environment. And you can kind of think of this virtual environment as this like random playground that you just open up, and you're just playing in this playground right now, and you're like creating this really fun project. And when you're done, you can step away from this playground, like box it up and just like throw away that playground, and you don't have to touch like all of the sand and all of the like crazy things that went on inside that playground anymore. Think of a virtual environment in the same way. So that we're just kind of setting up this little playground environment that we don't need to, that's very, very easy to clean up later on. So anything that you install can get removed so quickly because you're just like closing up the environment and then chucking it away. Cool. So shall we actually set up that Python environment now? To set up that Python environment, we're going to need to run this command in your terminal to create it. And do you see how you're using UV? That's right. So that's the reason why we needed to install UV earlier in this project in step 1. So let's run UV. And once we run UV, and the command for creating that environment, so we've kind of laid down the playground, we're going to activate the environment. So activating basically means that you're opening up your playground for business. Like people can now come in, or really you can now go in and play in that playground. Okay. And if you're wondering why it says a virtual environment, we're also calling it a virtual environment because same thing, we're just creating something that's like isolated from the main parts of your computer so that anything that you download in this environment gets packaged up and is like a fresh, clean copy of this space that you can throw away very easily. Cool. I'm just checking for some questions that are coming in. So if you have any questions about what we just went through, now's a great time to ask them. Okay, cool. You might notice that your terminal now shows WebUI in brackets like this. So what is this bracket thing? How did it end up at the start of our command line? Well, that bracket in your command line is telling you that you've activated a virtual environment. Your terminal prompt changes to show this at the beginning, which is a visual indicator that you are working inside a virtual environment called WebUI. Any Python packages you install now will be isolated to this environment. They'll just belong in this environment only. And Python will use the specific version and packages from this environment. So if you have like UV, for example, and UV is a very, very specific version when you're inside this environment. It just means that every time your terminal goes back into this environment, Python's going to remember and use the correct version for the commands that you run. So yeah, think of it like a special badge. When you see WebUI like this, you know you now have access to all the tools you've installed in this environment. We haven't installed those tools yet, but you will in just a minute. Okay, so as you can see, this is our little proof here. This little WebUI in brackets is our proof that we're now in a virtual environment. To SJ asking, are you creating a virtual machine? No, we're not actually. I know it seems so familiar because virtual environment sounds very, very similar to virtual machine. But with a virtual machine, you're literally spinning up kind of another server that's in the cloud that can process extra things for you. You can think of the virtual environment more like a special dedicated space within your current computer. You're not kind of renting or using kind of virtual servers in the cloud. You're still using your own space in your computer, but it's just like this little bubble that's in a corner now, that's its own world, its own playground, so that anything you install here doesn't spill out to other parts of your computer. I hope that's clear, and a really good question. All right. We set up a virtual environment by running the Python commands uv and virtual environment, which is venv. A virtual environment is very helpful for organization and isolation, i.e. packages that we need packages that we install for this project just stays within this environment. They'll get deleted. I will say actually packages that we installed for this project, packages that we install stay within this environment and will all get deleted when we remove the environment. Great. So with that, we can answer that question with confidence and move on to the next part of this step. So we're inside our virtual environment now. Welcome to this virtual environment inside your computer that's dedicated to your WebUI project. Now, this is the time for us to install those handy pieces of software that WebUI needs in order to run. So all of those pieces of software is inside, the names for those pieces of software is inside a file called requirements.txt, like a text file. And you can even verify that. Go into your WebUI folder, and as you can see, there's a requirements.txt file. And look at that, there are a few pieces of software that you're going to need to install. One is browser use itself. There is something called Paperclip, Gradio, JSON Repair, and LangChain Mistral AI. Okay, so we have all of these dependencies that we're going to need to install in our environment so that we can run WebUI. Now, all you got to do is copy that code, okay? And let's go into our terminal to run it. All right, well, that was fast, wasn't it? Did it run as quickly for you? Wow, that was incredibly fast. So as you can see in our terminal, all of the packages that are required have all been installed now. So that was insanely fast, and let us take a screenshot of it and add it to our documentation. Okay, so you can add it to your documentation by dragging it in and inserting it like this. All done. nice. Okay, as you might be wondering, what are some of the packages in requirements.txt? And here are the key packages that we're installing here. Okay, so as you can see, those packages are also mentioned here. There's so many of them that you really have to boil it down to some key ones. Playwright is the key one that we should know about, so let me highlight it for us. It's great for controlling web browsers using code. And then you have Google Generative AI. There's Python.env, which is a tool for managing environment variables. So it gets very, very technical very, very quickly. But really the one you should know about is Playwright. Okay. And yeah, because I know you've installed so many things in a very, very short amount of time, but because you're inside a virtual environment, all of these will delete the moment you delete the environment itself. So handy. It's so handy. Okay, and let's recap. What is WebUI? So WebUI is a tool for creating AI agents. Browser use is the actual brain. Browser use, another software, is the actual brain that manages controlling the agent and connecting it. I would say browser use, another software, is the actual brain that connects your browser with AI models. But WebUI is useful for adding a visual interface. You can use browser use with clicks instead of code. I would say if you want to keep it like very, very short, TLDR, WebUI lets you use browser use with clicks instead of code. All right, tidy that up. So that's awesome. Let's select done and install Playwright. So much installation and setup for this project. So if you're still here, just wanted to say a big shout out to you. We're not really up to like the big, oh my gosh, look at the agent like automating things on your browser yet, but we're gonna get to that so soon. So we're gonna install Playwright and let us put that in here. Awesome. So we have Playwright getting installed now, and we can just check that we have Playwright installed like this. Okay, so if you can see a version number, that means that you've installed Playwright perfectly, which is great. All right, next up is to copy something called an environment file. And this is a file that basically stores the settings for an application. In our case, you're basically storing settings that tell WebUI how to run. So a .env file is super, super common for all kinds of applications, all kinds of tools and software that you download. And for us, we need this file so that we can tell WebUI, oh, which AI model should you use? Here are the credentials to that AI model. And if you'd like to know more about something like a .env file, environment file, you can definitely ask for explanations within the Nextwork app and get those too. Okay. Cool. So let us run that command and have our environment file set up. Okay, all good. That looks great. All right, finally, let's bring WebUI to life. We're gonna run this command that basically tells Python to run WebUI at a specific location in our computer. So now that we have all the development tools for running WebUI, we have installed all of the packages that WebUI needs to run. Now let's bring WebUI to life with this special command. We're saying, hey Python, can you please run WebUI, which is this file here written in Python. And once you run it, when you run it, make sure you're running it in this very specific location in our computer. Okay, so this location makes sure that WebUI is private and secure to you so that only your computer can access the WebUI that you are launching. Okay? As you can see, our terminal is still in the process of launching WebUI, which is okay. The moment you start seeing a bit of feedback, a few messages here in the terminal, that's when you know you're ready to actually open WebUI in your browser as well. Okay, so moment of truth. Shall we head on over to the location where WebUI is running in our computer? So you can see this little note here, running on local URL, which means that WebUI is now running inside our local computer. So let's open it. Let's see. Oh my goodness, here it is. Congratulations. If you're seeing this right now, it means that you have browser use WebUI open and running in your computer. That is awesome. As a special little pro tip, if you like dark mode and you really like dark themes, you can copy this link instead to open the same page, but in dark mode. So up to you which mode you prefer. I will stick with the dark mode for this project demo, but it's completely up to you. Okay. You've made it. Congratulations. So let's head on over to step 3. So let's start using WebUI now. We're gonna run a simple prompt to see how it works. In this step, we will run a simple prompt in WebUI to see how browser automation works. Okay, great. Gangada asked a great question here. How does it get an IP address? That's a good question, and I'll explain this in a bit more depth. So in this command here, we're saying, hey Python, can you please run this file called webui.python? And when you run it, put it inside this IP address called 127.0.0.1. And that IP address actually just means this computer. It's like a reference. It's like a way to reference yourself. Hey, run it here, like in this computer. And it's also known as localhost. You know, if you've come across that term before, localhost, you can also give examples if you want to see localhost in action and what that means. Okay. Yeah. In short, localhost is basically a special IP address that just refers to the current computer, something that's running inside your computer. Cool. I hope that was clear, Gangada, and let me know if any other questions. All right, shall we get into step 3 and running WebUI? So now that you have WebUI open, congratulations on running it. It looks amazing. and let us have a little tour of what's inside WebUI. So you can see that we have a tab called Agent Setting, and this is a setting for basically configuring what your agent can and cannot do. And here we have LLM configuration, which is how you set up which AI model your agent is going to be connected to. You can think of the AI model as this plays an important part in your agent because it's like the brain that tells the agent this is the next step that you need to do on the browser to complete the task that you give the agent. You have browser settings, which tells you, how do you want to set up your browser? Do you want to set up your browser to be how wide, how big, how tall? Do you want your agent to record what it's doing? Do you want your agent to use your own browser? Like if you're using Chrome, do you want to make sure it's using your Chrome, a new Chrome window? And then you can also run your agent. And this is going to be the key place where we're going to be giving our agent things to do and tell it, go and do it now. We're going to click run agent to do that. And here are some other tabs that you can explore after you get to know WebUI. In short, this is just about using template settings for WebUI. This is about seeing the end results once your agent is done doing its task. And here is just like a little archive of all the recordings your agent has recorded. Cool. So we have that all set up, and we can take a screenshot of WebUI in your browser to celebrate. Let's take that screenshot now. Awesome. All done. Okay. And now we're going to run WebUI and see an error, which is totally okay. We're going to go to the Run Agent tab, and we're going to keep the default prompt in the task description. It says, go to google.com, type OpenAI, and click search and give me the first URL. This is the default prompt, which means if you just run agent, you should be able to see an agent literally do those tasks. But we see an error. It says OpenAI API key not found. Please set the key environment variable or provide it in the UI. So it's basically saying, hey, in order to run this task, I'm gonna need your API key or your permissions to use to use OpenAI's AI model. And that's because our LLM configuration tab is set to OpenAI. Okay, we're basically, the default setting here is that we're going to use an OpenAI model to do the task, and this is what you're supposed to fill in. You're supposed to fill in something called an API key that says, here's like the password to do the task. That's okay. We ran into an error, and we're going to go fix it now. Okay. Now, surprise, surprise, instead of OpenAI, we're going to be using another AI model provider. We're going to be using Google AI Studio instead. And that's because Google AI Studio has a really generous free tier. OpenAI, in short, doesn't really have a free tier that we can use. But Google AI Studio, you can make about 1,500 requests a day for free, and that is super, super helpful. So your next step is to go to AI Studio, and you should be able to log in very, very easily as long as you have a Google account already. Okay, and then once you're here, you just need to select Create API Key, and you'll just need to consent to their terms of service if this is your very first time using Google AI Studio. You just need to tick that first box. Don't need to tick the second one. Just tick that first one, and then select I accept. Okay, but once you select Create API Key, if you're like me, you might notice that you're asked to select a project. This is not going to be the same for everyone. If you don't already have an account that has existing Google Cloud projects, you won't see this. You might just see a code, an API key straight away, and that's a great thing. It's more that if you are seeing this, just select any project. It really doesn't matter, because we're going to make sure that we delete our API keys at the end of this project. If you don't delete your API key, you definitely won't be You might be more careful. You might want to be more careful here. But since we're deleting our key, that we won't get charged, and it wouldn't really matter which project the key belongs to. Okay, so I'm just generating my API key now. And this is a key that we're definitely not supposed to share with anyone. So it's a very, very long key. There's still more to this key that we're not showing here for security reasons. And for us, once you have that key, you can go into your LLM configuration here. Open Gemini, select that instead of OpenAI. And then you can paste your key in here, like this. Okay, so I've just copied my key from here. I've made sure that I've selected Gemini here and put in my API key here. Once you have that, let's go back into Run Agent and try run it again. What happens now? Ooh, oh my goodness. That is amazing. So you can't, a new browser tab just popped out of nowhere, and look at it run. So this is the new browser tab that opened up. It's called Chromium, and look, hands off. And you can see my browser just running on its own. And now my AI agent is searching OpenAI. It's going through the links, it's going through the results. And it's trying to figure out what is the first URL that comes back. Ooh, and it collapses on its own. Just like that. Like it's never appeared. It just disappears like that. So interesting, isn't it? So what we saw just now was, our AI agent, doing an amazing job. We're about to recap what it was doing there. But for now, let us answer this question here. Why do we need an API key, and what does it help WebUI do? An API key is needed because it is what connects our AI model with the browser agent. It helps WebUI by becoming the brain, really? It really is like the brain of the agent. The AI model helps WebUI by becoming the brain of the agent. It's responsible for breaking down your prompt into a set of steps and for evaluating whether it's done. And for achieving the goal, basically. Great question from Gangada. It is completely optional to have a Google Cloud project when you create a key. So if you are, if this is your first Google Cloud project, you can still just grab a key anyway, and it sets up a cloud project for you automatically. But you don't need to set up that project before you generate the key. Just generate the key, and then just know that Google Cloud will create the project in the background for you, so there's no worries. Okay, heads up, when you close this, you might notice that it says paid here, which is like alarming, but don't you worry, just know that it's gonna convert into free the moment it realizes that everything that you're doing is within its free tier. You're gonna see that plan turns into free in a second. This is just like the default that it's showing. Okay, and we've done all of this. And we can take a screenshot of our LLM configuration like this. And let's answer that question here. We set up our API key by generating a new one in Google AI Studio. Then we configured WebUI to use it Do you know? We configured WebUI to use it by entering the API key in the LLM configuration tab. We also switched the AI model from OpenAI, which is the default option, to Gemini, aka Google AI Studio. Great. So with that, we have also run that first task. I just realized I've really stormed ahead there by showing you the AI agent doing its work. I just got so excited. But that was actually in step 4, where we run the AI agent's first task. You'll have to forgive me for giving you a spoiler. I literally showed you the AI agent already. In this step, we will run our first task with WebUI and see the agent at work. Okay, so that was what we did. If you're wondering whether WebUI is open source, it is, yes, open source. So all of the code is in GitHub. It's completely free to make a local copy. Thanks for checking. All right. So this is what we saw, and we're supposed to take a screenshot. So shall we just watch our lovely little browser agent do its job one more time so we can take a screenshot of it this time? Oopsies. Okay. Let's make sure I actually take a screenshot this time of the browser agent doing its job. But my goodness, that was so interesting to watch. It's just doing its thing without me doing anything. It's so fascinating, isn't it? God, so smart. The people who made WebUI, shout out to them, you know. The way that they've created, you know, browser automation that you can connect with an AI model is just so smart. It's awesome. Okay. So you might notice that there are so many colored boxes around different kind of buttons and elements inside your website. So you might be wondering, what's going on here? You know, what are these colored boxes? So these boxes are actually just a visual indicator that Playwright, and Playwright is one of the tools, one of the dependencies we installed. And Playwright's part is that it is the browser automation tool that actually does like the clicking of an element, or it actually does like the scanning of a website to see what are the buttons that are in that website. So Playwright is kind of like the eyes, it's like the scanner to see all of the different elements. And then in this case, your AI model, like Gemini, is the brain that says, oh, out of all of these elements that you're seeing, let us click on that one. That's gonna help us complete our goal. Behind the scenes, Gemini is analyzing each of those elements that Playwright finds, deciding which ones we should interact with, to complete the task. Okay, looks cool, eh? Okay, so the agent interacts with the browser by using colored boxes. What do you think? How would you complete the sentence? How would you complete the sentence? Here's your little challenge. Okay, so you can say that the agent interacts with the browser by using colored boxes. Or really you can say by using Playwright to scan the web page, and the elements that Playwright picks up are highlighted in the colored boxes. I think you can also say the AI model is responsible for analyzing these elements to decide what to do next. You know, e.g., what to click next. This is so cool. I'm such a fan of WebUI and the way that these browser automation agents work. Okay, so you'll notice that the browser window collapsed, just automatically, just closed. And that was the browser that was actually open. It looked like a ghost version of Google Chrome, doesn't it? Like, I was like, oh, it's so strange. Like, why is it all blue toned? And for some context, the agent was using a browser called Chromium, and this is the default browser of choice for WebUI. Okay, so Chromium is both a browser and the most popular browser engine that there is out there. Fun fact, you know, it's also the engine that powers Google Chrome, which is the reason why Google Chrome's logo looks so similar to Chromium, except that Google Chrome's logo is like with the colors instead of the blue tones. So yeah, you can think of the browser engine again as the core software that actually turns code into the visual pages that you see. Chrome, Edge, and Brave, they all use Chromium as their engine, which is why they work so similarly and they look so similar as well. They use the exact same engine to process their web pages. All right. So the agent by default what do you think it uses? Okay, so the agent by default uses Chromium, which is the most popular browser engine, i.e. the software that converts code into web pages. Crazy, isn't it? Our first task for our agent was to, what was it? What was the task that we just asked our agent to do? Okay, so our first task for our agent was to search for OpenAI in Google and return the first search results URL. The browser collapsed. Oof, we ran out of characters, which is totally okay. But if you still have space left, you can say the browser collapsed when it completed the task. The browser just automatically closed on itself. All right, so let's see the results. Head back into the WebUI tab in your browser and select the Results tab. And this is where you can see, aha, there was a final result that says openai.com. So this is pretty cool. It tells us that the first URL that it saw was openai.com. You can even take a peek at the model's thoughts. So the model was literally thinking as it looked through the websites, as it browsed on the Chromium browser. And you can even think about, you can even go through all the thoughts your agent had as it completed the task, which is so cool. Okay, the cool part is you can even watch a video. So this is a video that your agent recorded of its actions. That's cool, isn't it? So you can even recap what the agent did to complete the task, which is awesome. And you can see clearly that OpenAI was the first link, so it was correct. Cool. So let's take a screenshot of WebUI showing the agent's output. You know, so you can do it like this. And let us mention what the result tab shows. The results tab shows a recording of our agent's actions to complete the task, and an output window that showed us the URL it found. This is helpful because you can recap and verify whether your agent's results were correct. Because imagine if you just asked your agent, like, hey, can you do this for me? And all you see is the agent's output without any of its working or without any of its process. You probably won't be able to trust the results as much because you'll be thinking, oh, but how did you get there? You know, what did you see? To watch a video of what it went through is gonna be great, just to double check. Okay, great. All done. Now, as a recap, are these browser agents true AI agents? Well, the answer is no, because while browser agents are often called AI agents for simplicity, let's be clear here that there is a difference between AI agents and what we're using today, which is like browser automation with AI. Here's the key difference. A true AI agent would make autonomous decisions. So it can do things without us giving it a task description. A true AI agent would learn from its experiences. And a true AI agent would also adapt its behavior over time. It will actually learn from what it did before to do even better next time and to make its own decisions. So imagine, so this is kind of like, this is what would it look like if our browser agent was a true AI agent. Imagine instead of us needing to type in a run agent task, like and having to click on run agent. Imagine if we didn't even need to do that. We just had a software that was running, and that software was continuously just doing things for us and making its own decisions. Hey, I have a feeling you might not have your like dinner or lunch planned because I saw that in your calendar that you have nothing in there yet or no groceries. So let me go search up some recipes for you. Let me put together some ingredients you should buy. And by the time you open your computer again, here it is. It's already ready for you. All you gotta do is go to the grocery store and like pick up the ingredients. Like, let's say the AI model wasn't even asked to do it, but it just did because it had its own thoughts around what it should do. And it'll get better with time as well. Imagine if there was an agent out there that just knew your schedule back to front and intuitively would do some random tasks for you so you don't have to do it. Like it randomly knew that you would be busy at a certain time, so it just decided to go and reply to emails for you. It's really, really autonomous, and I think that's the key difference with AI agents there. So let's head back into our project and try something a bit more complex. Can you tell the agent to report back on what happens when it tries to do a certain action on your website? So we're going to be doing some advanced browsing together, and this is such a common use case for browser automation because website developers like to test if a certain feature in their website is easy to use. So browser automation is a great way to do it because you can actually tell your browser, hey, can you go to my new website and can you try this feature? Tell me if, and then you can watch your browser agent do it to see, like, is that easy to do? Did it have to go through a lot of trial and error to finally find this new page that you released? It's a very, very fun way to test your website for sure. So, you know, if you're pro, you can easily jump into this little secret mission, which will help you with doing some advanced browsing. So congratulations. The secret mission is unlocked for us. So for Gangada who's asking to try some other prompts, we'll definitely do that now. And shout out to Amber for jumping in and saying, wow, it's so good. Awesome. So let us actually go back into our Run Agent tab and we can enter a new prompt. Now we're going to tell our agent, can you go into this specific website at Nextwork? Can you scroll down and tell me what you see when you try to start the project? What is our browser agent going to report back on? Let's copy this prompt and head back into browser use. Let's clear this task description that we don't need anymore because we're going to be doing something more advanced now. We're going to be telling it to test a website for us. Okay, so let's run this agent and see what happens. Here we go. So our agent, go hands off. Okay, we have our hands off and now we're actually just seeing our agent do its thing now. It's gone into the Nextwork website and now it's going to analyze what it should do to start the project. So let's see it do its thing. So here you can see that it's actually testing the project by clicking on some buttons. It just clicked on this plus button there and oh, the browser agent has already stopped its task. Well, again, the moment the browser closes, it means that your agent thinks it's done. Is it done? Shall we go check? To check, we just have to go into our results tab and open that out. Here we go. Clicking the Unlock Pro Projects button reloads the page and does not start the project. This suggests that a Pro subscription is required to access this project. It sounds like our agent actually understood that project needed to be unlocked, which is the correct response. That's what happens if you try to start that project without having Pro access already. So you can again watch a video to recap what your agent does. And you can also scroll down here to see the model's thoughts. So this is a recap of your model's brain and how it analyzed the browser to see what it should do next. Look at that. The task requires me to navigate to a specific URL, scroll down, and interact with the Start Project button or something similar. I need to note what happens when I try to start the project and then report this. So yeah, that is a great analysis from our AI model on what it should do to complete the task. Look at that, it even analyzes what was the contents in the page. The next step is to scroll down and interact with the Start Project button. It looks like the button to proceed might actually be Unlock Pro Projects. I'll try clicking that. So cool, the Unlock Pro Projects button is visible after scrolling. So our model is truly just like thinking and doing tasks the way, honestly, like a human would. To see all these thoughts written out is just fascinating as well. So cool, right? And yeah, agreed. You know, thank you so much. Shout out to everyone saying that this is a cool project and you can't wait to try it. Super useful for automation testing. Gangara says this is so cool. Amber also asks how many jobs will be automated because of this. My goodness, so true. And how much like engineering time might be saved if you have so many different agents testing a feature that you've just released, or you have like different agents programmed to have different kinds of personas. So you are a student, or you are someone that is like age like 65, or you are someone that is new to computers, someone that's an expert in computers, and like have all of these different kinds of agents to try to test your website. That'll be pretty interesting too. What specs to run this locally? Great question. So the great thing about this is, because we also installed all of the development tools in step 1, those are truly the only tools that you'll need to run this software called WebUI. It takes about 300 megabytes of storage in order to download all of the required packages and to run WebUI. I hope that helps. Thank you so much, Kadas, for saying that's so cool. Okay, team. So that was super fun, wasn't it? So let us take a screenshot of the agent's response about Pro Projects or Pro Access and recap that in our project too. Okay, so I don't know, I think in my screenshot I might just make it real nice and cute to show the results, and maybe something to show that the colored boxes, so that we can see that the agent was trying to like look and analyze our website. So good. Let's put that screenshot in our project. And let's get into a little recap. We also tried telling the agent to check out a Nextwork Pro project and see what happens when it tries to start the project. It reported that it requires a Pro subscription or Pro access in order to start. That was perfect. So let's click done for that and let's move on. Okay, final step, team. So we now have some advanced prompt writing that we can do for our agent. As you can see just now, the more powerful the prompt, the more your agent can do. So let's dive into how we can write better prompts to get better results from our agent as well. In this step, we will experiment with different advanced prompts to test the limits with our AI agent. This is because the quality of the AI agents, or maybe this is because, I would say this is because the more accurate, descriptive, and precise our prompt, the better the results from our AI agent. That's facts. So let us select done and let's get started with this final step. Great work. So let's head back into the Run Agent tab and let us clear the existing prompt to enter a new one. So what's going to happen now is we're going to tell our agent, hello, can you please go to nextwork.org and find the links to their Instagram and their Substack pages. Both URLs are at the bottom of the page. Return only the URLs separated by a new line. Okay, so we'll run the agent and we'll see what it does. Okay, our agent is taking a bit of time to get ready. That's all good. Look at that, it loads nextwork.org as its first step. Perfect. Whoa, that was so quick. So let's see what the results are. Well, the results say I'm unable to extract the exact URLs for Instagram and Substack, as I need to click each of them and get the exact URLs. I can only identify the text labels, which are Instagram and Substack. Now that's pretty disappointing, isn't it? So it's telling us that it can't find the links to Instagram and Substack. Can you manually do it yourself? So try visit nextweek.org yourself. Scroll down to the bottom of the page. Can you find the link to the Instagram and Substack pages yourself? If you were to just open the links in a new tab, for example, you'll be able to find the links. So here's the link for the Instagram page. Here's the link for the Substack page. So it should exist. What is some way that we can update our prompt so that our agent knows how to do it too? That's our challenge as kind of like the prompt engineer for our AI agent. What do you think? Okay, so as you might notice, okay, so this is a different error that we cover in the project, but it's totally okay if you see like a different kind of behavior from your agent. All you gotta do is show your terminal logs. So open up your terminal, and you can see that there was actually a terminal. Your terminal this whole time was actually updating with specific updates as well from your AI model. You know, it will tell you the future plans, extract what it's planning to do, its thoughts with its current step, a summary of what it needs to do, and then a storage of all of the memory that it has of the task. It's super interesting. As you can see, as it tried to complete your task, it actually extracted the entire page, the nextweek.org page, as Markdown to try to find the link. Okay, and it says, you know, this is what it plans to do in response to that Markdown file. And again, it seems like its memory is not too good. In the end, it gives up and says, I'm unable to extract the exact URLs for Instagram and Substack. Okay, so that's not too happy, which is okay. Let's see how we can tell our handy agent here what it can do. Cool. So let's jump into it. The terminal logs show us a breakdown of our agent's thoughts, plans, and memory with every single step as it tried to complete the task. This helps us understand where it might have gotten stuck and what else? I would say it also tells us a little bit about how the AI model evaluates a web page and how it thinks. This helps us understand how the AI model thinks and how it analyzes a page really, and where it might have gotten stuck. Okay, so good. And yeah, it's totally possible for different agents to behave differently. Did your agent clear the task with no errors, or did you see another error? If you had a different error, it's likely because of the same root problem. The agent's prompt was simply not clear enough. That's our fault. Let's fix this by being more specific in our prompt. Okay. Once the agent is done, the new browser window collapses automatically. And if your agent is not stopping, this is totally possible if some agents decide to go rogue because the error just went into that direction. Decided that it's going to be in an infinite loop. If that happens, you can still force your agent to stop by selecting the stop button over here. All right. Okay, so errors with your agents typically happen when the prompt isn't clear enough, when the website structure is complex, when the website blocks automated access. So this is a very common reason if your website actually needs login access to work. But in our case, nextweek.org was a public website, and our agent still couldn't find the links. We know it's not an issue with the browser. We could open that link ourselves. So to fix this error, we really should be just focusing on making that prompt more specific. Let's write an even better prompt so that our agent knows exactly what to do and hopefully returns the right results. When our agent encounters an error, 3 ways we can debug it are finding out whether automated access to the website is blocked. What's another way? The prompt isn't clear enough about what format we want the results in. Be clearer about the format of our desired result. And what else? Maybe the website structure is complex and the agent can't find what it's looking for. So here we can say, give more specific results if the website structure is complex. Okay, so that's 3 ways that you can approach errors with your agent. Do you have any questions about this one? Okay, cool. We have a few questions here. If we keep this agent for a few days in our system, do we get any charges? Good question. And the charge would not come from WebUI. The charge would come from how many uses you're making with your AI model. You know how we connected with Gemini. You can honestly make 1,500 requests to Gemini for free a day. Always check Gemini's pricing page to make sure you're up to date with whatever is under their free tier today. But if you keep the agent for a few days, that's not going to charge you anything unless you're spamming it with like millions of requests or anything more than 1,500 requests a day. Which OS is better to do this project, Linux or Windows? That is a really great question, Sarah. And the OS to do this project, I don't think will be very, very important for the success of this project, because we've definitely seen people do this project in Linux. We've seen people do this project in Windows. Both are equally successful. So if you had to choose between 2, honestly, choose the one that you think will help you with running the software even faster or even smoother. We got hi from Pratyush. Hi, welcome. Can you please help me out? Can you please review my LinkedIn? Great question, Pratyush. And this is LinkedIn reviews is something that you can definitely chuck into the community if you'd like to suggest a LinkedIn review session. And if lots of other community friends are down for it, we can definitely do that session. Maybe we can do like a group hangout that's on reviewing LinkedIn profiles. Definitely something you can add to the community as a suggestion. Great. Yeah, thank you so much, Kyle, for mentioning we can save lots of time with boring tasks and have more time to learn. Absolutely. Okay, team. So we're going to go and improve our prompts. The funny thing is, I think this prompt is stuck with the old one. So what we're going to do instead of copying this and pasting it is we are going to write a new prompt from scratch. So when you're ready, we'll update this prompt straight away. How do you think we can do this? What is some way that you can fix this prompt that had an error? Again, don't forget, we have 3 ways to fix it. One is to be clear about the output format. One is to be clear about the instructions on what your agent can and cannot do. One is to check the website itself. Is it actually possible to do the task? We are actually very clear about the output format already. We already know that you can find the URLs. So the one thing left for us to do is to provide clear instructions. Let's do that by maybe adding a new line that says you are allowed to open the links for Instagram and Substack in a new tab to find the URL. Maybe that's going to help our agent know that it's allowed to do that, to extract the URL. Shall we give it a go? I hope so. And hopefully that makes it very, very clear for our agent on what it should do. Off it goes. All right. Oh, it seems to open nextweek.org in a new tab instead. I don't think it's opening our Instagram or Substack pages yet. Do we think it's gonna do it? Maybe not, team. I don't have a lot of confidence in our AI agent today. Oh no, look at it. It seems like it has the correct thoughts, but it's not doing the correct actions. So it seems to keep on switching back to the main nextweek.org page. But then it keeps on thinking that there is a button with index 6 that takes us to Instagram. Oh, it did it. Wow. After a bit of trial and error, it actually found the Instagram link. That's impressive. Go AI agent. I was about to give up hope on this, but it looks like our AI agent is doing its thing. Oh, it's opened the Substack link too. It's found it. That's cool. That's really cool. Oh, congrats. Oh, shoot. Look at this go. It is definitely finding all the links. It's even found stuff related to our blog, I think. Oh, stuff related to our Substack blog, like the content in our Substack blog. Okay, so it's definitely doing its job. I think it's finding it. Yeah, just like task completed successfully. Do we think it did? The result looks correct to me. Oh shoot, wow. Go AI agent, I think it just did it. I'm pretty impressed. And it closed. All right. Yeah, like Sarah mentioned, took time, but did it anyway. I think you're right. Let's visit the results tab for our AI agent and see whether it's done the job. So let us open it here, results tab. It's still processing our results. Wow, it's taking its time. And the results and the time it takes to run all of this can come down to your internet speed, but it can also come down to whether or not you're using an AI model. that is like fast enough and quick enough with analyzing the tasks. I have a feeling that if we were using a more like a smarter AI model, then maybe it would have completed the task a lot faster than repeating the same error 3 times, because it went to the wrong page 3 times, which was very interesting to me. It didn't seem like it learned from that. It took a bit of time to get there, but it didn't. The answer is correct. So our second prompt asks, what would you say? Our second prompt asks the agent to visit the nextwork.org website and extract the Substack and Instagram URLs. Our first attempt failed because the prompt was not clear enough. We improved it by giving specific instructions on how to retrieve the URLs. Nice. And yeah, big shout out to everyone that's in the chat right now. If you'd like help with your projects, please know that the community is such a good way to ask questions. If you're stuck on a project, the community is definitely the #1 way. If you prefer asking questions over YouTube, you can definitely add it to a YouTube comment as well. Great. So you now have a browser agent that can copy links, navigate to websites, report back what it sees when it tries to do something. Awesome work, team. So if you're ready for a secret mission, we can do a special little extension today. If you're done with this project, make sure to skip ahead to the steps for cleaning up your resources, and you can wrap up for the day. But if you're ready to do something a little bit extra, level up your skills even more, let us do the ultimate browser automation, which is to let our agent to save, apply, download, and search on websites that require your login. Ooh, this is interesting. So let us get into it. We're gonna set the agent to control your personal browser, not the Chromium browser. And we're gonna run some tasks using your own browser settings, using your own bookmarks, and showcase some advanced agent configuration skills. Shall we jump in? Great work, everyone. Let's jump in now. In this project extension, we will set up WebUI to control our own browser, i.e. Google Chrome, with our existing login details instead of the default Chromium browser. Using your own browser is useful for accessing websites with logins. Great stuff. So you can tell the agent to use your own browser. This is a great option if you want your agent to access websites that require a login. Just a heads up that later in the secret mission, you will need to close all the windows and tabs you have open in your current browser, which is Google Chrome. If you have other tabs open outside of this project, we'd recommend saving your progress now, so you don't lose anything when you close your windows. Okay, so let's head to our terminal and exit the current running WebUI process. So go into the terminal and press Ctrl+C here. Very good. And then we can reload the WebUI tab in your browser. You'll notice that it no longer loads, which confirms that you've stopped running WebUI. Okay, you're going to see this instead, which looks pretty sad. But it tells us something that we want to hear, which is that we've successfully stopped WebUI from running. And then we're going to open our environment file by running this in the terminal. Okay. And then next, we will go all the way down with our cursor to the Chrome settings. Interesting. Do you see how it says Chrome settings has Chrome path equals blank, Chrome user data also equals blank? Ooh, so maybe we should be using another browser, or we should be using the path to our browser here instead of leaving it blank. If it's blank, then our agent wouldn't know where Google Chrome is in your computer, so it defaults to Chromium instead. Okay, so with that being said, what that means for us is we're going to press Ctrl+K twice to delete the Chrome path line and the line below it. By the way, do you remember what the .env file means, the environment file? If you were noticing at the start of this project, you might remember that the environment file is basically a file full of all of your settings and configurations. This is where you can actually put in your API keys. If you don't want to enter API keys from the browser side, you just want to save it always, so you don't need to enter it again and again. You can put it in your environment file. And in this case, another setting that we're using the environment file to save is the location of our preferred browser. In this case, that's Google Chrome. Cool. So in this case, we can now paste the following code to replace the 2 lines you've deleted. So let's put this here. Now we have a filled in Chrome path. And let us fill in the Chrome user data line with our username. So replace your username placeholder with the username that you're using. And then you can straight away go Ctrl+O to save, press Enter on your keyboard, and then press Ctrl+X to exit. All done. Now, if you were here and you're thinking, oh gosh, what's my username? What do I write in here instead of Natasha Ong? Because that's my username, but your username is likely different. If you don't know what your username is, click a new tab and type in who am I to review your username, like this. It's the same command for Windows as well. Use who am I. Okay, so to use your own browser in WebUI, you have to update the environment file, i.e. the .env file. The Chrome path setting in the file tells WebUI the location of Google Chrome in your computer, while the Chrome user data setting, what does it do? What do you think? Okay, so the Chrome user data setting points to where Chrome stores your profile data, which is things like your bookmarks, your history, login information. By using this, WebUI can use your existing Chrome profile instead of starting with a blank one, which is how it can get access to all of your logins. Tells WebUI your current Chromes. I would say the Chrome user data points to the bookmarks history data points to the bookmarks. Maybe I can just say the Chrome user data setting points to your bookmarks and history. Oh, here you go. Okay, great stuff. And just double check, have you replaced your username with your actual username? And this is where you can use who am I to figure out if you don't have it. Okay, do we have any questions here? It looks like we might. For Sakani who's asking, this live and this tutorial is all about browser automation. So using AI agents in your browser. Awesome, team. All right, so in the terminal, we're going to run the following command to restart WebUI with your new environment file settings. So let us run these commands over in our terminal. There we go, and we've just kind of reloaded our environment settings with the new profile, data, and the location of Google Chrome. You can even verify what you've changed by running this. And there you go. It spits back out what it has for Chrome path and what it's saved for Chrome user data. So you can see that these are the two locations that you've just put into the environment file, so it's correct. Okay, so if you're using Google Chrome, it's about time for us to move a lot of our work away from Google Chrome and into a new browser so that we can let WebUI use Google Chrome from scratch. It's very important that for WebUI to work, especially the first time, it's going to want a browser that doesn't already have history inside. The browser will get very, very confused if the agent is trying to control a browser that's already being controlled by you. It's going to get super, super confused. So by closing all your Chrome windows, you're just going to make sure that WebUI can start with a new and fresh instance of Chrome so that it's more likely to do everything successfully. So shall we actually open up a new Safari tab? Okay, and it says Safari can't open the page, which is perfectly fine because it is going to be totally okay because over here, I just lost my train of thought, oh my goodness, but over here, you might notice that we don't actually have the Python file, so WebUI running at the moment. So the fact that it's not showing here is totally okay. Like if we were actually running WebUI, if it was running here, the command for launching WebUI was running here, and we still couldn't see WebUI, then there would have been a problem. Okay? So if you have any questions about that, now's a great time to ask them. Otherwise, we will now get into closing all of our tabs in Google Chrome so that we can get ready for this automation. Oof, I'm excited. How about you? Are you excited? um, to finish off, getting ready, you will have to also make sure that you are saving your API key somewhere safe locally. So I'm just going to copy this into somewhere safe that's local right now. Cool beans. Okay, then when that's done, you can easily close everything here. And Google Chrome should be all cleared for me now. So I should be able to just close this as well. Close your project. Oh my gosh, that's all good. And as you might notice, I still have the same project open in my Safari tab now. So let's go into our secret mission. Okay, I still have everything here, which is great. This is not opening, but that's all good. We can get it to open soon. What's important for us to do next is, now that we have this open in a new browser, I'm using Safari. We've made sure that our Google Studio API key is stored somewhere safe locally. Done. We've closed all our Google Chrome windows. Almost. I just need to close this. Okay. So if you don't close our Chrome windows again, WebUI might get really confused. So once it's all closed, you can even do a little quit here to make sure. Once you're done, you can launch WebUI again in the terminal with the new environment settings. So you can go and launch WebUI again, like this. Oh, I just realized I'm in the wrong tab. So I just need to paste it here. Nice. Okay, so I'm launching it now. Really good. Okay, let me refresh my WebUI tab and it should run now. Ooh, it's not running. Why is it not running? Oh, interesting. There we go, it's running now. So we have browser use or WebUI running again, and let us see what's next for us. Okay, so head to the LLM configuration tab. Make sure you're back to setting it up with Gemini, and we're going to put in the API key. Like this, all done. And let us give it a prompt under run agent, shall we? So let us make sure, actually, in our browser settings, we have use your own browser selected. Make sure it's using your own browser. Otherwise, it's just going to use Chromium again, which it shouldn't do. We'll get it to, now go to LinkedIn and search Nextwork AI project. Make sure all the search terms are in double quotes, and your task is to like the first 3 posts. Interesting. Let's try running our agent. Looks like it's taking its time. Oh, here we go. Okay, so it's tried to log in to LinkedIn, but I don't think it's logging in the right profile. Oops. So what I can do is I can actually stop this. Okay, stop it. I want it to be running in the correct profile, which is this one. My correct profile is the pink one. Okay, so if it's in the wrong profile, I'm just gonna launch a new window in the pink one, close it again, and click run agent again, and see whether or not it can launch in the correct one now. Okay, it's launched in the pink one. That's good. So this is my personal browser that it's now using. And let's see if it can perform the task. Ooh, we'll see. Interesting. It's going to LinkedIn now. That's great. Is it going to search? Let's see what it does now. I hope it goes to search network AI and projects. That's what it should be searching. Ooh, look at that. It goes and hopefully it types in the search. Oh, it recognizes that I've searched it before. So it uses an existing search. And now it's going through LinkedIn and it's clearly logged in as me, as my profile. But now it's going down. Oh my gosh, and it likes one of the posts. It goes and likes it. Really good job. It's gonna like the other ones. It's scrolling for me now. It's gonna keep doing its task. Okay, so I think it accidentally unliked a post because it was already liked. Ah, that's not helpful. So it looks like this agent needs to learn how to keep a post that's already liked. That's on me as the prompt engineer for not mentioning that. So actually the next time I write this prompt, I'll say, if the post already has a like, ignore it and move on. Yeah, off it goes. It's still trying to complete the task. Wow, look at it trying to like 3 things. It's taking its time, isn't it? I wonder if this would be done a lot quicker if either the prompt was clearer or if the AI model was a more advanced one. I think both would have actually if I had done like a better prompt, if I'd used a stronger AI model, it probably would already be completed by now. Okay, in the meantime, while our agent is still doing its task, we can move on and start to just wrap up the project by answering the last question in our secret mission. So take a screenshot of the agent running in your browser. Bonus point if you can show the agent's colored boxes around buttons and links in the browser. So let's take that screenshot, shall we? We chose to test our agent with another prompt on using our own personal, I would say using our own personal browser and login. What is it going to do? It was supposed to like LinkedIn posts on our behalf. The agent was able to search a specific query. We assigned it and finish liking the posts as instructed. So that was really, really cool. Great work, everyone. So that is a wrap with today's project. Before we fully finish though, I just realized I wasn't zoomed in very well there. But before we finish, let us delete all of the resources that we don't need. And deleting is going to be a big part of this project because there's so many packages that we installed. Wow, Nico's here. Hi, Nico. It's so good to see you. That's awesome. Oh my gosh, I think it's our first time saying hi over Instagram. And we have Sarab saying, can you do it with a DeepSeek model? I think you definitely can. You can use DeepSeek if you want to use DeepSeek. Oh, look at it. It's still trying to complete the task, our agent. If you want to use DeepSeek, how you would use it is you would actually, you would go into browser use, and for LLM, you would change this to Ollama here. Or you can even use DeepSeek if you want to use the DeepSeek API, which costs money. So up to you. If you want to use DeepSeek for free, go to Ollama, and then you can follow our project on using DeepSeek to install DeepSeek locally and to run DeepSeek locally. Then you can choose Ollama and then pick your model as DeepSeek R1 14B, for example. Or you can go DeepSeek R1 latest, just depending on which model of DeepSeek you're using, Sarab. But yeah, you can definitely use this with DeepSeek. Do this project with DeepSeek. Cool, great question. So today we have 3 big resources to delete. Actually 4, I'm gonna add 1 more. First, we're gonna stop WebUI. So all you gotta do is you just have to head to your terminal, exit the running WebUI process by pressing Ctrl+C. Okay, and it's gonna close, which is totally okay. And then once it's closed, you can confirm that you have stopped WebUI by reloading the page like this. Okay, so that is a great way to clean up WebUI. Next up, you can deactivate your virtual environment. So in your terminal, let's deactivate it. And after that, you can remove your entire Python environment. So you can copy this to paste it here, which helps you with removing the entire, all of the packages and all of the code that you have installed today. Okay, so verify that you've removed it by running this command called cd change directory WebUI. If it says no such file or directory, you've officially removed WebUI from your computer. So totally up to you on whether this is something you really want to remove. If you want to keep it and do other projects, you definitely can as well. Okay. Last one is totally optional. Only do this if you won't need UV, Python's package manager, for other projects. But you can totally go brew cleanup to clean up Homebrew, which doesn't delete Homebrew, but it just deletes older versions of tools that you don't need anymore. This doesn't delete any tools yet, actually. You can also go remove UV by running this command that says pip3 uninstall UV. And it seems like we have a little bit of an error here. It seems like maybe we were supposed to use brew uninstall UV. Would that work? Oh, okay, I think that worked. To see if that worked, you can also check your UV version now. So go UV -- version. Oh, it's still there. We still have a UV version. Which UV is it? Ah, I see. To clear up the confusion here, I have 2 different versions of UV. One is a version of UV that I installed with Homebrew, and one is a version of UV that I installed locally. Do you see how confusing it can get when you have 2 different versions of UV? If I was still using the Homebrew version, if that was still there, then which UV would have returned a Homebrew reference? It would have looked a bit like, this. It would say opt slash homebrew slash bin slash uv, or it would have said slash python 3 slash uv, something like that. But it actually used my local libraries reference, which means that I am now looking at a version of UV I installed before this project that's local to this to my computer. So you can also go which pip3, for example, and you can see the homebrew version of pip3 is still here because I haven't deleted it, but the version of UV is like a different reference because I've removed the homebrew version, but I still have other versions that's still there. Okay, do we have any questions about that? I know that was a little bit confusing, so let me know if you have any, and that's totally okay. We can go through them too. All right, let's wrap this up by writing a recap of what we've learned today. Services we used were so many. We used WebUI, browser use, Playwright, Google AI Studio. We also used Google Chrome and Chromium. Development tools include Python, pip, UV, and Git. Key concepts we learned. Oh my gosh, this project was jam-packed with concepts. Key concepts we learned include, oh my gosh, I would say browser automation, Python virtual environments, and .environment files for sure. Oops, navigated away. Cool. This project took us approximately 2 hours to complete, including demo time. The most challenging part, oof, I would say, there are a lot of challenging parts, was setting up an agent that could use my personal logins. You know, an agent that would use your own browser. We had a bit of settings that we needed to set up, configure in our environment file, so I would pick that one. And what was most rewarding for you today? I would say it was most rewarding to see our AI browser agent like LinkedIn posts on our behalf. That was pretty buzzy. Oh, that happened again. But yeah, that was pretty buzzy to me. I thought that was awesome. Thank you so much for doing this project. Why did you do this project today? We did this project. Answer from your heart. You can pause here and write your own response. For us, we did this project today to learn about browser automation and how it can, I would say, how browser automation can do things on your behalf with your own logins. That's crazy. This project definitely met our goals. And we can confidently use browser agents to automate tasks. Isn't that something to be so proud of? I would be so proud of it I am proud of it. You know, that through this project, we could set up browser agents from scratch. And thank you so much, Justin, for saying, hey, Natasha. Hi, Justin. My goodness, it's been a while, hasn't it? Good to see you again. Great work, everyone. So that's a wrap. Woohoo! Congratulations on completing this project. You have built a solid foundation in browser automation with AI. In this project, you've learned how to set up a proper development environment with Python and essential tools, create and manage isolated project environments, use WebUI, interesting, to automate browser tasks with AI. That's definitely what we did. And you also wrote some effective prompts for AI agents. This skill is so valuable for automating repetitive tasks, testing web apps, collecting data, and building some AI-powered automation tools. I wonder where this project will take you. I hope you have all the fun with AI agents in your browser, and share your work once you've created your documentation, which you're about to do now. Share it with the community, share it on LinkedIn. We'd love to know how you found this project and the new things that you got to learn. Hang tight, the cool docs are on the way, and you can download the documentation. You can easily save it to your portfolio, or you can also save it as PDF. So click save here, and you can download your documentation as a PDF today. Or you can save it directly into your portfolio. Okay, very cool. I can see it seems like I can see that my documentation is failing to open, which is totally okay, team. I can still show you what documentation looks like as I open it for you here. You can always head over to LinkedIn. I'm going to open this in Chrome, where I have LinkedIn already, my access to LinkedIn saved in here, as you might already guess, since my agent can access it too. And look at that, you have a pre-filled LinkedIn post that you can use to share your work. It looks so good. I'm very proud of it. I think you should be so proud of yourself for doing all of this in this project. And don't forget to tag Nextwork so that we can know all about your posts and shower you with lots of love. And this is a great chance for you to also upload your documentation. So let's upload documentation. It seems like the upload function was not showing just now. There we go. And this is where you can upload your PDF. So I think one of my previous projects PDFs should be here. Oof, maybe it's in my downloads folder. Oh yeah, my PDF for how to use DeepSeek is still in my downloads. So how to use DeepSeek, for example, but let's say this is my documentation for the project. Automate your browser with AI agents, like this. And then once you're done, you can select post, just like that. If you'd like, you can also upload this into your portfolio. So if I were to add this to my portfolio, here it would go here. And then you can open it up like all of these other projects that are now in my portfolio too. The how to use DeepSeek project is here. What other projects are here? So cool. It's always, I can never get sick of this. It's always so fun to look at your portfolio and see all of the other projects that you've done. Look at that. Whew, so fun. So share with us what your portfolio looks like. We love to see it. Thank you so much for Sakani for saying I'm definitely doing this task. Thanks. That's awesome. Thank you, Sakani. And Oxyslayer, if you'd like to know what we are teaching, currently we teach a range of projects in AI and AWS. This was a project on AI and creating your own AI agent to automate what you do in your browser. So imagine there was an agent that was logging into websites for you to download PDFs or save things or process some data. They can genuinely go into your browser and click tabs and do things for you. That was what this project was about. If you'd like to check out that project, it's called Automate Your Browser with AI Agents. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your week. Have fun playing with AI, playing with your AI agents, and let us know how you use it to automate something in your browser. See you in the next project, and thanks so much for spending the time here. If you have any questions, know that the community is there to support you at community.nextwork.org. All right, thank you so much, everyone. See you next time. Bye.